Phoenix do to kind of turn around and take the reins back into their own hands here for game 2?
So what we're going to have to see is we're going to have to see mid lane hold its own a little stronger. We're going to have to see, force the Joey Desu off of the Gangplank, or at least punish him a little more for that Gangplank pick, right? We saw, like we said, free farming up, really strong. It didn't end up mattering too much because we saw XDME's Pyke get that pentakill. Yeah, huge pentakill to kind of turn the whole game on its head when Glacial Rising Phoenix kind of overgreeded for a Baron. And the big thing is going to be maybe a little bit smarter movements on the map. And, I mean, the early game wasn't great, right? We looked at it, they were falling behind. Epic Fail Guy was kind of bailing them out with some of the picks he made on the Ezreal. So we're going to have to see if maybe they short their early game a little bit, move around the map smarter, and maybe we'll see them take a game. I mean, Epic Fail Guy looks good, right? He seems to be your consistent win condition. Joey Desu's had good performances on these tanks and on the support tank Karma style. So we're going to have to see if you're able to play around this Epic Fail Guy as the Oran Band's coming out from the side. NGB Blossom just taking away this hard engaged tank, not caring if they can counter pick it, they just don't want to play against it.
And Glacial Rising Phoenix taking away the Rumble, very good respect ban, taking it away from Black Oreo Cookies, as Black Oreo Cookies really kind of, control the tempo of the game with a lot of really strong equalizers, and NG Blossom is going to counter with taking away Epic Fail Guy's Ezreal, taking him off that comfort pick that he had so much success on in the game 1.
That's a great ban, because what we're looking at now, NG Blossom, I think they can get away with not banning Caitlyn, right? I think here's where you leave open Caitlyn, and the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix is either going to first pick Caitlyn and get counterpicked by a Jhin, or give over Caitlyn, and instead, they're not confident enough in that Jhin matchup into Caitlyn, and they're just going to ban it away. And that's kind of surprising to me, because I really do feel like, you let them first pick Caitlyn, and then you just come out with, your Jhin Lux, you play Jhin Morgana, and you just kind of run over the Caitlyn with that Jhin counter pick. But maybe deciding, hey, Epic Fail Guys only really looked on these 380 carries with Aphelios, Caitlyn, and Ezreal, and Aphelios is kind of not really in meta right now. And we see Xylandis has really been liking this Bard. Picks it up again. He hasn't looked bad and hasn't looked like 100,000 pop-off on it, so it's still a solid pick coming out. And XDME is going to get his Lux this game. And it looks like they're opting for Lux Sona. So, a little less kill threat in the bot lane. That would explain why they wanted to ban away Caitlyn.
But now the Pyke being hovered, it had a lot of success in that first game 1. I think we're kind of hoping yes, it will be the Sona Lux lock in bot lane. Sona Lux having so much sustain and so much poke in the bot lane, not necessarily a kill lane in the early parts, but once they hit 6, that becomes a very dangerous place to be if you're Epic Fail Guy and Xylandis.
Yeah, and the safety of the Bard portal is not existent when you are chain CC'd and one-shot wall chain CC'd. But one of the things is, last game we kind of talked about maybe a rough early game for Glacial Rising Phoenix. Against Lux Sona, you should have a chance of having a little better early game in the bot lane. And if we're able to see a roaming mid, maybe we see a Galio come out, maybe we see Malphite mid, probably Malphite top for Joey Desu. We saw he looked good on it, but if we see, this roaming mid, we see maybe a damage or a jungler that can tower dive, Elise, J4, maybe even a Sedge or Zac, right? And we see some pressure put on this Lux Sona early on in the game. You can snowball off that. If Lux Sona falls behind, Sona's going to take a little longer to scale than normal 80 carries. And what we're kind of seeing is, last game, 21-22 minutes, that Baron started up, that's where the game blew open. However, Joey Desu picking the Malphite, and Jeremy Flips getting his Gangplank again. It keeps going to him.
And Jeremy Flip's Gangplank looked very solid in that game 1. Able to farm very effectively, get a couple kills here and there by launching out the R. This Gangplank is a force to be reckoned with in the hands of NG Blossom, as Jeremy Flip is able to kind of isolate top lane and turn it into an island whenever he handles it, because he's able to play the lane so well, get the farm he needs, get those items, and then join his team so far ahead of opposing laners. And that Gangplank is definitely something that Glacial Rising Phoenix needs to be very careful of in these coming minutes.
Yeah, and I really like seeing this LeBlanc ban from the side of NG Blossom. right? So we saw earlier today when, you know, Kisses for Cats versus Iron Dragons, they picked that full scaling team comp and they got rolled early game, right? Right now, NG Blossom has a lot of scaling. And like I was talking about with the roaming mid, LeBlanc is a very, very good roaming mid laner, very high early game pressure, can really set that tempo in the early to mid game. That's a champion that if it got steamrolling, it would blow Lux Sona kind of out of the water with the sheer amount of damage it could do early on. Because Sona's heal early on into the game is very weak, right? As the game goes on, it starts ramping up more and more, but it's a very low heal for the mana cost, and having that ability to kind of roam with the LeBlanc would be dangerous. So what we might see here now is probably just a jungle pick. Save your mid lane pick for last again. So now we're going to see what Crixon has in his blind pick wheelhouse. You know, we're going to see Olaf come out as the jungler of choice. Not too many good junglers left up that are easy to play. So we're going to have to see kind of what Skiz falls back on here for jungle pick.
Yeah, and he definitely needs to look to be a little aggressive and maybe have an early to mid game jungler, as we know we need to kind of shut down this Luxona bot lane, as well as kind of put some pressure on Jeremy Flip in the top lane. And we see the Hecarim going to be locked in. You know, pretty good jungler, able to clear at a pretty relatively quick pace and impact the map. We just got to see how well it interacts with it in the hands of Skiz.
And Syndra will be the lock-in for Crixon, and that's a really good pick. We're looking at Glacial Rising Phoenix's team comp. Before Syndra, you're not looking at the most damage, right? So we're looking at the side of NG Blossom. How are you going to kill Lux, Sona, Olaf late game, right? Senna's a very slow auto attack based champion, right? There's damage, there's autos hit for high damage, but they're very slow in this mid game. People describe her as an AD carry that 2 item spike and 5 item spike, right? In between 2 to 5 items, she's a lot weaker than most AD carries unless you're snowballing. And having this Syndra, we know high damage when they hit that Luden's Echo Sorkpen boot spike, and if we can see Syndra take over this game, that's going to be huge. And having something like Syndra in the mid lane this time instead of a Mordekaiser, a little more lane pressure coming out than a Mordekaiser mid, not quite as rough of a matchup. You know, we're not seeing Mordekaiser versus Rumble, and while they did last pick Sylas, you know, stealing that Malphite ult is going to hurt. Sylas versus Syndra in an isolated 1v1 can be very Syndra favored. Sylas stealing Syndra ult doesn't do that much damage.
Right, because he's not going to have a lot of orbs at his disposal in order to kind of ramp up that ultimate damage, whereas Syndra's going to be able to place a lot of those out preemptively to kind of, you know, capitalize on that damage boost she's going to get against Sylas. And I think that's going to be an important matchup to watch, but at the same time, a lot of pressure is going on to Skiz and Exasperated to kind of make sure that those bot lanes play safe. If Exasperated is able to get his Sona Lux bot lane ahead, that turns that scaling slow bot lane into a monster, able to put out so many heals, provide so much lockdown and CC chain to just wipe out Glacial Rising Phoenix in the mid game.
Yeah, it's certainly a scary prospect. I mean, with that buff to the AP support item to Frostfang, I mean, we see the Sona Lux resurgence. You know, they run that double Spell Thief's Edge. It's a very annoying lane, right? They're just trying to constantly poke abilities. I mean, Senna Bard, I would say, is a pretty decent answer to it because we have Senna Q healing, Bard W healing, and Senna wants to scale too. So it's not like the worst. The big thing is going to be, like I was saying, kind of a lack of damage. You talked about this level 6 power spike. I mean, your healing only does so much when you get popped, right? When you get chain CC popped by these double ultimates. So like you were saying, we're going to have to see Skiz on the Hecarim. He has potential with his R to kind of put some pressure on this bot lane. Maybe we'll even see Joey Desu actually TP bot lane this game. An early TP, you know, use the Malphite ult with the Hecarim ult, Syndra walks down. I mean, it's a very scary early bot lane fights because Gangplank is not a champion that wants to leave his lane until he's level 13. He wants to sit up there and just keep farming away.
And so with Jeremy Flip having as good as a game as he did in game 1, how well is Gangplank going to be able to not necessarily abuse Malphite, but how well does that matchup go for Gangplank?
So Gangplank is able to survive the matchup, which is all he wants to do. The early laning phase can dictate a lot. With Jeremy Flip, he always seems, he likes to look for solo kills, but he likes to farm too. It's going to be hard to tell. Depending on how he plays level 1, we'll kind of see. There actually is, in my opinion, kill pressure at level 1 specifically for Gangplank. After level 1, the kill pressure kind of fades away slowly. Malphite's passive is pretty much not up every Gangplank Q, but it'll absorb the Gangplank Q for the most part, Q poke. But there's not too much kill threat, right? Gangplank can just sit on a barrel and kind of use his barrel to avoid being all-in, and he kind of sustains through Malphite Q poke, right? Both champions have mana issues. Malphite spamming Q, he'll run out of mana if he's going that Comet poke build. And Gangplank, I mean, he runs out of mana when he spams Q too, thanks to some of those Gangplank nerfs, seasons ago on his Q, making that mana cost go up early on in levels. So it should just be a relatively safe kind of farming lane. When Joey Desu hits 6, that's kind of where he can maybe look to kill Jeremy Flip, because that's where you have Iceborne Gauntlet slows once you all in with your R. Well, you won't have Iceborne Gauntlet by then, but you will be able to all in with your ult, and you can't orange. That's not really something you can orange. And we will see Comet coming out from Joey Desu, looking for this kind of Q poke spam. And we're going to have to see, with the Stylus taking Fleet Footwork instead of Conqueror, he's actually looking more towards this Korean LPL build we've seen, where it's a Q max with the Hextech GLP item rush, as opposed to a lot of the NA Siluses we still see do the Conqueror, like E and W max. So if Silas is able to get out of this mid lane, or even somehow get some solo kills, he can really, really push the lead here.
Yeah, and I want to say that's a really important thing to look on, as this build is very, very different compared to the NA build, like you were talking about the E max and the W max, trying to just maximize that healing with Conqueror, while with the GLP, he's going to be able to make a lot of plays, be very mobile, slow down the enemy team, which can be very important, obviously, against the Hecarim, and just try to get those lockdowns where he can. I'm really excited to see how these two teams are going to match up here in the early game, as neither team exactly has a whole lot of kill pressure, but at the same time, they're able to pick up kills if someone makes a mistake.
Yeah, one of the scary things that we saw, like you said, not the most kill pressure in any of these lanes. Honestly, we could see a whole bunch of farming for a while in this game. But the big thing is, I mean, last game I could have said the same thing, and there we were, huge kill fest early on in the game. So, I mean, you might see one Lux Binding hit, and maybe they're like 3/4 chunking somebody. And I mean, we might see some consistent trades coming out in this bot lane where people get chunked back and forth and they're kind of heal sustaining through it. I think Sentra is going to have, especially levels 1 through 4, is going to have a lot of this threat on the Silas early on. Seeing him really push that melee versus ranged matchup, maybe keeping him chunked. The Fleet Footwork healing actually will help a little bit with sustaining through the lane. But I mean, there's going to be some trading, right? And like you were saying, if there's one mistake that comes out, I mean, a lot of this trading, you're going to be getting pretty low. And if you make a mistake, you're going to die. So a lot of onus on these junglers early on into the game.
Looking to see, maybe we'll have a spicy level 1 come out, as especially NG Blossom has a really good invade here with going for a Lux Bind or an Olaf Q to slow him down. But it looks like Glacial Rising Phoenix is going to go ahead and meet them here and try to set up a Desh Bush of their own.
Oh no, they're not going to be in Tri-Bush though. Oh, what's happening? Are we going to 5v? Oh my god. It's so tragic they got seen.
Here we go, Exasperated kind of chunked low, a little bit of slows coming out from that Glacial Augment coming off the Senna, and instantly their level 1 is taken away.
I'm so sad, so sad that the Malphite was seen there by the Olaf, because I would have loved to see. You don't see very often 5v5 in bot lane bushes of all places level 1, right? I mean, maybe in Tri-Bush, but it looked like they might have met in the freaking alcove of all places for some reason. That was really interesting. But both teams kind of see each other a little bit. Like you were saying, the Glacial slows some people. On the bright side, we did see Senna pick up a soul. Or 2 souls, actually, +2.
Yeah, and getting those souls early is going to be very effective in the hands of Epic Fail, guys. If he can use that to scale into the late game or the mid game, like you talked about, because Senna has obviously those major times where she does spike, but at the same time, those times where she easily falls off. And we're really hoping to see how these lanes are going to go, because if either one of these bot lanes makes a mistake, it can easily spiral out of control in either way.
Yeah, we're gonna see bot lane. I mean, it's Shield Bash Lux with that W start at level 1. You know, partially started the W to help her jungler a little bit, who's getting poked. But you know, just she's gonna be looking to consistently auto attack. As in top lane, I mean, Jeremy Flip and Joey Desu trading a decent amount, and bot lane we've already seen a whole bunch of just people getting chunked. Right, the consistent trading I was talking about, it's kind of coming out in all these lanes. So we're gonna have to see these junglers. I mean, we see one pathing top side for the side of NG Blossom, and Skiz is already pathing bot lane. So we might see some early aggression from the junglers coming out in this bot side of the map, potentially trying to get rid of this Sona Lux nuisance early on into the game.
With the jungler starting on the opposite side of the maps, it definitely opens up the play a little bit more, especially for Exasperated to maybe, you know, make a play, maybe go for that scuttle transition to the bottom, maybe go for a gank in the top or the mid lane, while Skiz is going to try to maybe shift his attention onto this bot lane, see if they can find something with the slows for the Glacial Augment, maybe hit a good Bard Bind from Xylandis. You know, I think that's going to be what we need to look for here in these coming seconds.
I mean, look at that. Lux is already back to like full HP, you know, from being chunked kind of low. I mean, top lane, we're already seeing a little bit of a CS difference, but because his jungler's in that top side, what he's been doing is hard shoving the wave. He's trying to get it to crash. We might see an early recall come out top side, but either way, it's very unpunished, right? Because he knows his jungler's up there. He does, in fact, take this kind of free cheater recall, early recall, to get an extra item advantage in the lane, as here comes Skiz bot lane.
Giz is trying to see if he can find anybody, but no, Catinator and XDME so quick, forcing away the flash from XDME. You know, not all in all a terrible gank by Skiz.
Yeah,
but now we got a fight breaking out in the mid lane. Black Oreo Cookie is going to take down Crixen low. Crixen is also going to respond by getting some damage off.
I bet you one of these mid laners wishes they had Ignite right now. Very close trades coming out in the mid lane, but Black Oreo Cookie is getting the better of Crixen there, and I mean, he's probably going to have to burn his TP here if he doesn't want to fall too behind in XP and stuff. And now we see Exasperated on the bot side of the map looking to return the gank favor.
Has a good flank, not spotted out by Vision, trying to get some damage here on the Xylandis. Xylandis is going to get binded, and then that's first blood over to Exasperated. NG Blossom taking the lead.
Yeah, Xylandis kind of missing that Bard stun is really impactful there, right? He misses the stun, unable to create any sort of space between him and Olaf. And I've said it a couple times, right? Xylandis' Bard hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been impressive either, right? I feel like we've seen him miss a whole bunch of Bard ults, miss some Bard stuns. Nothing that's maybe cost this team a lot, but all these small things he's been doing, I don't know if it's his highest performing champion, right?
And as here comes Skiz in the top lane, looking to see if he can get some damage onto Jeremy Flip. Jeremy Flip taking kind of low here, has to force the orange out, flashing away. Good gank there by Skiz to go ahead and pick up Jeremy Flip's flash to kind of open up that lane more for Jeremy Desu whenever he hits level 6.
Yeah, and you know, it's very important. Not having this flash when Joey Desu hits 6, he could potentially look to solo kill the Gangplank up here when he has his R. Important to note is Jeremy Flip, right? Because he did that cheater recall I was talking about, he was able to just walk back to lane, right? So he still has the item advantage, he's still up in CS, and Skiz is looking for a tower dive.
Skiz looking to see if he can find him, taken kind of low here by Joey Desu. Joey Desu going in, he's still taking the tower. He's going to be taken even lower, but Skiz, no! He's going to be taken down by Jeremy Flip, and Exasperated picks up the kill onto Skiz. 2-for-0 in G Blossom.
And Exasperated read the play perfectly, right? That is a very greedy play coming out from the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix. You know, they had a pretty good advantage, and they tried to punish him a little too much, right? They weren't sure where the enemy jungler was, didn't know if he was soloing Dragon, if he was top lane. They still go for the play, and, you know, Olaf shows up, and it forces this awkward scenario as a fight breaks out mid.
Putting out a lot of damage here on the Black Oreo Cookies. Black Oreo Cookies flashes back on, but Crixen will pick up the solo kill onto Black Oreo Cookies.
Yeah, and good patience by Crixen coming out, holding that Q, you know, waiting to see if he's going to flash over the wall or flash on him because he could kill him with autos. And he flashes forward to try to get the kill. Crixen just puts that Q underneath his feet. Good 1v1 kill. I mean, that's some progress, right? Last game, mid lane was kind of in a deficit. In this game, we're already seeing Glacial Rising Phoenix able to get a solo kill in the mid lane. We talked about how Syndra kind of beats Silas in the isolated 1v1. as Lux's barrier gets forced bot lane.
And these bot laners just keep going back and forth, trading a little bit of CC. But the only thing is this Sona Lux with these double Guardian procs are able to just absorb so much damage and then heal it all right back up with those Sona heals.
Well, and the Lux shield, right? So this Lux is going to max shield first, and it stacks, right? So if you throw it out, you can have both of them stacking up. So you can have, you know, 200, 300 HP shields. I mean, it's just a lot of shielding. Sona W shields as well. And we see Exasperated kind of pushing this tempo, right? He's taking the early dragons once again. NG Blossom, very good at getting these early dragons. Very good at controlling the waves to kind of help their junglers solo them. As, I mean, we see bot lane, you know, they have Prio to walk up towards this dragon. But kind of just giving it up knowing Skiz isn't there.
Exasperated now paying his attention down towards the bot lane. He's spotted up by a ward, which is going to force Epic Failguy and Xylandis away and give Catinator and XDME some free time to farm up. You know, Exasperated has been exactly where he needs to be in these fights. He's picked up 2 kills already for his team, and now he's here to kind of help alleviate some of that pressure for his bot laners. You know, really good play out of him as he's kind of, you know, holding down Skiz in this jungle matchup.
See, now would be a good time for Skiz to make a play towards tower diving top lane, right? You know he still doesn't have flash, your Malphite has ult back up, you just hit 6 yourself, and you know where you knew Olaf was bot side of the map, right? The crucial thing here is we see Black Oreo Cookies actually has the lane, he has the priority, right? The waves kind of dissipated in the middle, and we see he moves towards his own jungle and kind of forces Skiz away. And Jeremy Flip even kind of read the situation well, knowing he was in some danger, just recalls, right? Doesn't give Skiz the chance to gank him in that top side of the map.
And Black Oreo Cookies kind of key there, stealing the Hecarim ulti, preparing maybe for a level 1, or a all-in on the mid lane against Crixen, maybe try to get some of that gold back that was taken from him. It's kind of interesting to see what he might do in these next couple minutes.
Yeah, and Exasperated's there too, right? I mean, Exasperated's there on the bot side of the map. And like you were saying, he did steal it. And the thing is, I mean, Rift Herald's up on the map, right? So they can look with this Hecarim ult on the Sylas to try to potentially go for this early Rift Herald. The wave is kind of set up in top lane. We did see Crixen move over and pick up a blue buff for himself, but they have no idea that this Rift Herald's going down right now.
Exasperated and Jeremy Flip onto this Rift Herald. We can see Epic Failguy and Xylandis resetting in the bot lane.
Here comes Joey Destu. Nope. Just
Black
worded.
Warrior Cookie's going to go for it on the Hecarim ulti, doing a lot of damage here to Crixen. Crixen taking low, forced to flash back, and he will survive from Black Oreo Cookies. Very good trade coming out from Sylas.
Very good trade coming out from the Sylas. And, I mean, top lane, we see the Malphite had no idea they were doing that Rift Herald, right? He walks up, drops a shallow ward, and then he's caught off guard when they go back up top. And Black Oreo Cookies here caught mid lane.
And now Skiz is going so hard on the Black Oreo Cookies. The Ignite comes down, but it's not going to be enough. Skiz picks up that kill on the Black Oreo Cookies at the cost of Xylandis' Ignite. But we see XDME looking to pick up that kill onto Crixen with the final spark. It goes a little bit wide.
Yeah, and you know, well played from the side of Skiz. Black Oreo Cookies not really respecting Hecarim's ability to come over that wall with the ultimate and kind of kill him. But Malphite ult was burned top lane is what I was getting at, and you know, they had no idea that Rift Herald was going down. Shallow ward, they end up burning the Malphite ult, and now without the Malphite ult, there's no kill pressure by himself, and you can't really dive a gangplank without the Malphite ult either. And I mean, look, we see Jeremy Flip once again. About 8.5, 9 CS per minute up here, just farming away on the gangplank happily. I mean, so far, they have not been able to punish this gangplank pick at all.
Still has this Herald on him. Maybe looking to make a play in the bot lane. Might go for a dive. He's counter jungling against Skiz right now, trying to see what kind of camps he might be able to pick up. Black Oreo Cookies and Crixen just keep trading back and forth. Crixen kind of taking low here. He needs to be careful as Black Oreo Cookies is now going to take the ultimate. He's going to go forward. Jeremy Flip drops the ultimate, and Black Oreo Cookies is going to pick up that kill. But here comes the Rift Herald from Exasperated. 3 plates already down. They're trying to see what else they can pick. Tempered Fate going to lock up the tower and Skiz. He's going to flash forward. Look and see if he can get him. But here comes XDME. He's going to shield everybody. Exasperated pick up the kill. Crucial binding laying onto Skiz, and Skiz was forced back underneath his tower.
Yeah, and I mean, Crixon, like you were talking about, very greedy staying there. His ult was, a few seconds off cooldown, and he was not synced up with Epic Fail Guy. Maybe he was expecting the Senna ult to come in a little sooner to help shield him. But in the end, it wouldn't have mattered, right? We saw Olaf was actually behind the tower. That's where he dropped Rift Herald from, looking to just tower dive the Syndra. And Bard, poor Xylandis getting greedy as XDME's caught in rotation.
Now, Unstoppable Force going to connect onto 2. XDME taking low. Skiz's going to finish him off. Crescendo is going to lock up Joey Desu. Teleport now coming in from Crixon as the fight's still going on. Skiz is taken down.
Black carries have arrived.
It's going to connect now onto by Epic Fail Guy. Epic Fail Guy is going to pick him off, but here comes the TP now from Jeremy Flip. Jeremy Flip is chasing down Crixon. Crixon already tunked down to half HP. And here comes the Gangplank passive kicking away, trying to burst through some of that damage. Jeremy Flip's pick up the kill on a Crixon. And now here comes Jeremy Flip taking out Epic Fail Guy. Xylandis is on the run, the last member for Glacial Rising Phoenix standing, but he might not be able to get away from Exasperated. Exasperated still looking for blood, as now they're just going to give up and go back to this dragon.
Yeah, and I mean, there's where you probably really wish you had your Bard ultimate still, right? If Bard's able to ult that Gangplank when he TP's in, or maybe hit a 2-man ult there, you see some kind of big plays going out there, but instead what we see is, Xylandis has not been on point this game with the Bard, ulting a little prior to that, trying to catch out Black Oreo cookies in the mid lane, and Jeremy Flip's Gangplank, I mean, not respected.
But coming forward, and Epic Fail Guy picks up the shutdown onto Jeremy Flip.
And Jeremy Flip, that's twice we've seen both solo lanes not respecting Hecarim's ability to ult over that wall from Raptor Pit. And good punish overall coming out.
Tempered Fate going to connect on the Exasperated. Exasperated is forced to run away with the Ragnarok. But Skiz is still looking here up on the top side of the screen. He might try to go back in, but he's not quite sure what he can go for yet. Final Spark might be trying to take away that cheeky scuttle there, but it doesn't quite connect. Skiz picks up the scuttle, and now he's going to look to see who he can find as he moves his way towards the mid lane.
Yeah, a little awkward as XDME hits the binding and misses the R. But, very short cooldown. Was just kind of trying to get some poke, maybe get the scuttle like you mentioned. And we're approaching the 15-minute mark, and we're looking at about a comfortable 3,000 gold lead. And I mean, like I talked about earlier, NG Blossom really has this huge focus on early game dragons. We see them up 2 dragons to 0 as Black Oreo cookies with the Malphite
Black Oreo
ult.
cookies, and he will absolutely dominate Crixon in the mid lane.
And Black Oreo cookies out here, man, really well played with these ults that he's been able to steal from the jungler and top laner of the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix. Just gets a nice solo kill.
Giz doing everything he can to defend this mid lane turret from Crixon, or from Black Oreo cookies, sorry. But Xylandis now here looking to see if he can find Black Oreo cookies, and he's going to go through. The stun does not quite connect. Epic Fail Guy here to back up his team. Exasperated also as well to back up NG Blossom. And they've committed. They want this first turret.
Yeah, and the first tower of the game going to go down for the side of NG Blossom. And very crucial to break open that mid tower. We see they're kind of rotating to the top side of the map now. XDME, Exasperated up there. I mean, I was almost expecting Exasperated to potentially look to even tower dive Joey Desu up here. Just going to take the recall, spend that gold he's gotten. And I think we can definitely look to see this next Rift Herald play coming out from the side of NG Blossom. They always have a huge focus on objectives. And with the prio they have in these lanes, I definitely see them kind of moving there straight away. As we already kind of see some pings going out, we'll probably see... I mean, Catnator's been kind of farming in the bot lane on the Sona, just by himself for a little while, getting some extra levels. And maybe Glacial Rising Phoenix will just look to kill the Sona instead of trying to fight here, and I think that might be their best option. But we already see kind of Black Oreo cookies moving down a little bit to protect.
Xylandis not quite sure where to go. He's looking to see what's going to happen. Black Oreo Cookies is going to go ahead and pick up the Tempered Fate off of Xylandis. Skiz is going to go forward onto Black Oreo Cookies. He's going to go ahead and ult him away. But now Tempered Fate is going to connect onto XDME. But Crixon picks up the kill on the Black Oreo Cookies. XDME now moving back towards his tower. An ultimate by Jeremy Flip, trying to just create some disruption for the team.
Yeah, Black Warrior Cookie saving the life of his support there with the Bard ultimate that he had stolen. But unfortunately was called out kind of in the middle. Right, we talked about maybe they'll look for this bot lane play, 4-man bot side, and XDME was a little slow to get to him, and they collapsed on him and kill him.
So looking around the map now, you had about a 4,000, almost 5,000 gold lead for NG Blossom. What can Glacial Rising Phoenix do now to kind of, get the game back in their control? You see that you have a very large Gangplank on the top lane. Already has 3 kills, 5 kills on Exasperated. What can Glacial Rising Phoenix do to kind of make sure they stay in this game?
Well, I mean, what we see is Sona's still relatively weak, right? Both Sona and Lux still have these tier 1 boots coming out. Sona hasn't finished the Seraph's Embrace, so you need to try to force plays where Olaf's not there, right? If you either warding the jungle and you can see him, you need to force plays away from the Olaf and punish the rest of the map, because the Olaf is the one that's 5-0-2. He is the early game powerhouse for this team. And maybe, like we see now, having their top laner, Joey Desu, show up early is a good start.
Joey shows up early, but Black Warrior Cookie's going to go ahead and steal the Unstoppable Force from Malphite.
And Jeremy Flip has the Rift top lane.
What he can do. First, that top tier tower already picked up, but here we go. Crescendo's going to connect on to 3. Unstoppable Force going to connect on to 2. Black Warrior Cookie's pick up the kill on Joey Desu. Tempered Fate's going to come down and lock up 2. But Exasperated's running through the backline, picking up the kill on an Epic Fail guy, and just like that, a double kill over to Black Warrior Cookies. And Crixon is now trying to kite away, but he's taking turret shot after turret shot. Inhibitor is about to get cracked open by Jeremy Flip in the top lane. Glacial Rising Phoenix is on the run right now from NG Blossom.
And it's just a disaster. I mean, they lose a 4v5 fight. And I mean, if that Rift Herald stays alive... Yeah, it is an ace, and if that Rift Herald stays alive, I mean, the game ends pre-20 minutes here. Luckily, the Rift Herald actually died to the tower. I mean, we're not going to see Nexus towers fall in here, but, I mean, that's a 18-minute inhibitor taken. We have 3 dragons for the side of NG Blossom, and, I mean, we just saw them win a 4v5, right? They tried to take that 4v5 fight, and that's a fight you have to win, right? Losing that fight right there is probably the game. At this point, it's looking bad, right? We saw a huge flash ult from Catinator. Really, I mean, Sona's weak, but if you flash ult 3 people with your Sona ult, you're not doing the damage, right? You're just stunning everyone for everyone else. So, good play coming out from Catinator.
Catinator already a part of 8 kills for his team. This Sona is definitely able to put in some of that work, and we were kind of worried about what would happen if they were allowed to scale, and they're almost to that point now. You see the Seraph's Embrace and Archangel's Staff completed by the Catinator. He's charging up. He'll probably have the Seraph's Embrace done in the next 4 to 5 minutes. Actually, probably even sooner than that, just because how quick Sona actually is able to charge that up. Glacial Rising Phoenix has to be very careful in these upcoming minutes, as they already have an open inhibitor.
Yeah, the only good thing for Glacial Rising Phoenix is because it's an open inhibitor, top lane is not going to be farmed from the side of NG Blossom, right? It's going to be permanently pushing into Glacial Rising Phoenix, and they can pick up free farm in that lane. The problem, however, is Glacial Rising Phoenix couldn't win 5v4. Now they have to win 4v5, because they have to have someone basically permanently stopping this top wave. And, I mean, we see an early Baron coming out. One of the big differences here is not only is NG Blossom ahead, whereas Glacial Rising Phoenix was behind when they did the early Baron, it's Sona Lux. I mean, you're literally not going to take damage. We see Olaf not even losing HP at this Baron, basically.
But Glacial Rising Phoenix knows they kind of have to walk forward here. They have 5 members there. Jeremy flipping the bot lane, but he has TP. Skiz is going to go in. He's going to go ahead and knock back 1. Tempered Fate connecting on to 3. It's going to be huge. Skiz is already taking low. Jeremy Flip coming forward. He's going to go ahead and pick off. No, not quite yet. Skiz doesn't go down just yet. Crixon taken out. Joey Desu taken out. And they're going to keep on moving forward. NG Blossom is unstoppable right now.
And Xylandis honestly helps NG Blossom there. I mean, we saw a huge Malphite ult on multiple members, and Syndra was unable to lay down AoE damage because the Bard ult just basically stopped everything Syndra was throwing out. And I mean, that's going to be the game. We're going to see a very dominant 20-minute win for the side of NG Blossom here. I mean, barring a miracle stop, this should be game over.
Giz is trying to hang on to the base, making his valiant last defense as he's just trying to pull out some damage, heal through it, but it's just not enough. Exasperated, 7 kills already, is just soaking through all the damage. Both Nexus turrets are down. They're beating on the Nexus now. Joey Desu trying to hold on, but he just can't. He's going to be taken down low. Epic Fail Guy already taken down. And this is going to be game 2 over to NG Blossom for free. They're diving into the fountain now, trying to just pad those stats. And the Nexus goes down. NG Blossom picks up game 2 of the series.
Yeah, and at this point, it's not going back to the drawing board for Glacial Rising Phoenix. It's, calling on a prayer, right? They're looking very much out of this series. And, I mean, credit where credit's due, right? NG Blossom is the number 1 seed, is the supposedly, as of, with the 1 seed, the best team in our league, and they're showing up, right? It's pretty much a clean game. Yeah, game 1, they kind of inted a little bit in the mid game. We saw them kind of throw some kills back to Epic Fail Guy, but I mean, they were able to quickly recover, steamroll any opening they see from the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix, and I mean, NG Blossom is just doing everything right for the most part in these games. And I don't want to look past the series necessarily, but whoever wins this series, and it's certainly looking like NG Blossom, has to face a tough Kisses for Cats team, and taking a strong 3-0 is certainly a good way to do it, right? Give all that momentum that you need to go up against this tough squad. And I mean, Glacial Rising Phoenix, if they're able to, go back to this drawing board and pull out a couple wins, that's going to be huge.
I'm definitely looking to see how Glacial Rising Phoenix comes off of maybe the slight mental boom if they've lost Vaulted. I'm really hoping to see what they can do. Crixon had a decent performance, but it just wasn't able to hang on for his team. Epic Fail Guy and Xylandis just trying to see how they could handle this scaling bot lane of Catnator next to me on that Sona Lux. Jeremy Flip on this gangplank has to be taken away. He's been able to just steamroll top lane, turn it into an island, pick up those couple kills with that R. But Glacial Rising Phoenix definitely is hoping on a prayer right now to go into this game 3.
Hey, the only question I have left for this series is, will Catnator die? Twitch chat, will Catnator die? You'll have to tune in for game 3 to find out, because he hasn't died through the first 2. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back.